Today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Mayor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Here.
Councilor Lenzi.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armand Mercia. 8 present, 1 absent.
The chair would like to recognize Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence and darkened chamber for a man that I admired so much, Dougie Willett, everyone's 24-hour selectman of Dracut for 30 years. He was the husband of his beloved wife, Barbara, with whom he celebrated his 68th anniversary in June. Mr. Willett worked in the Boston shipyard during World War II. He worked for the H.P. Hood & Sons for over 30 years, and most recently, until the time of his retirement in 2007, he was employed by the Greater Lowell Regional Technical High School for 27 years. He was a lifelong time active volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club in Lowell and was a mentor and volunteer of the Special Olympics as well as the special needs students at the Voc, where he was cherished by these students. Besides his wife, Barbara, he is survived by 1 daughter, Sandra, and 2 sons, Douglas Jr. and Dean, 9 grandchildren, 13 great-grandchildren. Dougie was the best. Mr. Constituent Service. He was my friend who called me once in a while, and I, along with many, will miss him. We offer our sympathy to his family. And I would like to offer another moment of silence and darkened chamber for Reverend Anthony Nguyen, a resident of Lowell and a parochial vicar at St. Patrick Church. He was born in Cambodia, and Reverend Anthony studied theology at the Seminary of Saigon and was ordained in Saigon, Vietnam. Reverend Anthony arrived at St. Patrick Church in 1986 and has been working very closely with the Vietnamese and Cambodian communities in Lowell. Reverend Anthony was well loved, as was quite evident during his wake and funeral. We join his family, friends, and church supporters in expressing our deep sympathy. He will be truly missed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And the mayor would like to offer a moment of silence for the following. M. Corrine Scannell, a loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, member of a well-known family in our city, and Frances H. LeGrand, loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, wife of former DPW Commissioner George Chubby LeGrand. They were just a wonderful, wonderful team who worked tirelessly for the poor Clare nuns in our region, and they will be sorely missed. Let us all stand and remember all those residents of our city who passed away since the last meeting with our hearts and prayers as well. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Martin. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. Communications from Manager Lynch to the council. Any councilors have any questions pertaining to Councilor Kevin Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This isn't a communication from the manager, but it's regarding a printed out email that was in the packet for I think it came through the city website, and it relative to a meeting that was scheduled last evening for solid waste and recycling to the neighborhood subcommittee, myself, Vice Mayor Rita Mercia, Councilor Alan Kazanjian, And I just want to apologize, I didn't get this. It was put in the, it was folded over, stapled, and it slid into the bottom of a packet, inside of the packet. And I was just going to request, I don't think the other councils got it as well, if we could maybe have those forwarded electronically, those emails, because there isn't an expectation, I think, when someone sends an email that they're going to get a somewhat immediate response. So it's happened a few times in the past, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention, Mr. Mayor or Mr. Manager, to see who would be responsible if we could have these forwarded electronically.
I could have my office call him with an apology, and Manager Lynch, he could also probably call. It was just an oversight.
Yes, and also, I'm sure Councilor Rita Mercy is the chairwoman of the subcommittee, will contact, I think it's Mr. Stephen Green, was trying to set up a meeting and had a room reserved last evening down here, and we were unaware, so I'm not sure exactly what they wanted, but they requested us to come, so we can maybe reschedule that with them, and apologize for not being there. Hopefully there wasn't a waste of time.
Mr. Manager, could you, I think it's Stephen Green, who was the chairperson, could you let him know that we apologize, and we'll certainly be at the next meeting if we're notified properly?
Yeah, I will certainly do that, Mr. Mayor, and I know that this has been an issue that we've spoken of, Councilor Broderick actually and I have spoken of in the past in terms of the communication on these types of emails that go to the council, and we are actually looking at some ways to improve that so that to make sure that they do go out electronically and people get it in a timely manner. But I will contact Mr. Green as well.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is not a communication, but Mr. Manager, I know probably most residents in the city received something in the mail this week. I know I did, and some senior citizens approached me when I was out and about, and it's a brochure essentially telling people in the city how they can get rid of some things. Bulk items, if you will, and there's a website, and I guess the company is called We Get Rid of It. Are you aware of this, or is this just the private company that is offering a service? It's nothing to do with our city recycling curbside pickup program, correct?
That's correct, my understanding. I'm aware of the company. I think this is just a reaching out to people that is part of their marketing strategy.
Okay.
But we'll follow up with Gunther on that.
Okay. Some of the seniors are just confused, saying, is this part of the city program?
Right.
Do we contact? Who do we contact? It's just a website, but it is a private company that will dispose of all these goods, similarly to what the city would: white goods, furniture, mattresses. But the fees seem much higher than what the city would be, but it's nothing to do with the city.
That's correct.
Okay. I wonder how we could let people in the city know that this is a private company, because it did go to, it looks like, every resident in the city.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we would, just like anything else, businesses that reach out for, dumpster services or, Goodwill sends things out,
point.
I know, on a regular basis for, pickups. It's hard to get that word out.
Right,
that
okay.
they're not
All right,
associated
well, as
with the
long as we
city.
know, and we can tell people if they call our house. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who would like to discuss any communications? If none, accept the communications and place them on file by Councilor Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Those communications are accepted and placed on file. I'm going to ask the council if we can take one agenda item out of sequence, and it is the vote to redeem property located at 25 Kerry Street. So moved by Councilor Kevin Broderick, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We're going to take that one out of sequence. And here to represent this article is Attorney Timothy J. Sullivan, authorizing the city manager to allow Cynthia S. Eli and Timothy R. Eli by their attorney Timothy J. Sullivan, Esquire, on behalf of the estate of Brenda Eli, to redeem the property situated at 25 Kerry Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, acquired by the city of Lowell by final judgment in tax lien case number 07TL134949, dated April 30th, 2009, and recorded in the Middlesex North District Registry of Deeds, Book 22960. Page 175, second reading by title, authorizing the city manager to allow Cynthia S. Eli and Timothy R. Eli, by their attorney, Timothy J. Sullivan, Esquire, on behalf of the estate of Brenda Eli to redeem the property situate 25 Kerry Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, acquired by the City of Lowell by final judgment in tax lien case number 07TL134949, dated April 30th, 2009, and recorded in the Middlesex North District Registry of Deeds, Book 22960, page 175. Is there any questions, any discussion on this? Yes, Councilor Kazanjian.
Thank you, Mayor. So in other words, the city owns the property now, is that correct? And we want to turn it back over, and we're going to receive $27,202.93.
Maybe Attorney Sullivan?
Is
if you
that
could-
correct?
That's correct, Mr. Kazanjian.
Okay. I have no problem with it.
Any other discussion? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick. Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin. Councilor Arman. 6 yeas, 3 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and thank you for taking me out of turn.
We have a communication from the city manager to request for 7 employees for out-of-state travel, ranges from the police department and so forth. Any questions? Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How come we only have 4 in our packet? You saying 7, and I only can count 4, and I don't know when did we get 3 more? I mean, I'd just like to be aware of,
I
we're
have
voting
a
on
re-
7, and I'd like to have seen
I have
7.
a
and-
request for Chief Ed Pitter. I have a request for Barbara O'Neill, the Greater Lowell Workforce Investment Board. That's 2. Superintendent LaValle respectfully requests approval to send.
So did they, the request
Some of those
come?
are last week.
Did the
What's that?
request come?
Couple of them were from last week. Barbara O'Neill and
From last week. What am I doing?
We only had 4 in our packet. I don't know where 3
Okay,
more
I'm
came
sorry.
from.
I had, someone's loaded me up with extra paperwork. 4 out-of-state travel.
Yeah.
Okay, any
Yes.
question, any
No.
debate?
Move
If none,
approval.
Move approval by Council Rita Mercer, second by Council Bill Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
This one. Moving on with the agenda, dear City Manager Lynch, it is with regret that I attended my resignation as a member of the Lowell Civic and Stadium Commission. I am currently pursuing a doctoral degree and find the extensive coursework and research needed to accomplish this limits my ability to allocate time to the commission. The last meeting I will be able to attend is on Thursday, September 17, 2009. I am extremely grateful for the opportunity I have had to serve the city. It has been a wonderful experience, and I hope to be able to volunteer again in the future. Respectfully yours, Deborah Finch. Accept the communication placed on file by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. All in favor, signify by saying aye. The communication has been accepted, placed on file. The next 3 will have to have confirmation from the City Council. Regarding appointment to the Lowell Arena Commission, dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, pursuant to Chapter 325 of the Acts of 1994, as amended by Chapter 79 of the Acts of 1995, I am appointing Matthew C. Donahue, Esquire, 11 Eastview Street, Lowell, Mass. 01852, to the Lowell Arena and Civic Commission for a 5-year term expiring on October 6, 2014. Confirmation by the City Council is required for this appointment and is hereby requested. I would be happy to answer any inquiry you may have concerning this appointment. Move for approval by Councilor Kevin Broderick, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin. Councilor Arman Mercia. 7 yeas, 2 absent.
Mayor Caulfield and members of the City Council, reappointment of Michael J. Sullivan. Dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority specified under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 45, Section 2, in the Code of the City of Lowell, Section 14-17, it is with pleasure that I am reappointing Michael J. Sullivan of 3 Hall Place, Lowell, Mass. 01850 as a member of the Lowell Board of Parks. This appointment shall be for 5 years, expiring May 11, 2014, or such time thereafter as a successor is appointed and qualified. Confirmation by the City Council is required for this appointment and is hereby requested. The manager would certainly answer any questions you have pertaining to this appointment. Move for approval by Councilor Kazanjian, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Any discussion, any debate? None? Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
And before we move on, Mr. Manager, I want to thank you for reappointing Michael Sullivan. He is certainly an advocate of the youth in our city. He's been doing it for 4 decades, and the children are going to benefit by his leadership on the Board of Parks. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, the License Commission reappointment of Brian T. Occasion. Dear Mayor Caulfield, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority granted to me under a special act, Chapter 486 of the Acts of 1894, and the City Charter, Section 20, it is with pleasure that I am reappointing Brian T. Occasion of 279 Manchester Street, Lowell, Mass. 01852, to the License Commission to a term which shall expire 8/13/2015, or such time thereafter until a successor is appointed and qualified. Confirmation by the City Council is required for this appointment and is hereby requested. Manager will certainly answer any questions if the council has any. If none, move for approval by Councilor Kevin Broderick, seconded by Councilor Jim Milonazo. No debate, no questions. If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Present.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 7 yeas, 1 present, 1 absent.
Moving on with the agenda, authorizing the city manager into a license agreement with Singly Snacks Corporation, Egg Roll Cafe, to encroach upon the city Lowell property at 110 University Avenue, Lowell, Massachusetts. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the city manager hereby authorizes into a license agreement with Singly Snacks Corporation, Egg Roll Cafe, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 110 University Avenue for an eternally illuminated overhanging sign to the extent of, and more particularly described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part of this license agreement. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading's been waived. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager into a license agreement with Singly Snacks Corporation, Egg Roll Cafe, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 110 University Avenue, Lowell, Massachusetts. Any discussion, any debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
Moving on with the agenda, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the Shed Park Baseball and Softball Organization of infield turf for the Cahill Perrin Field and updated irrigation system and all labor necessary for the installation of the turf and irrigation system. Whereas the Shed Park Baseball and Softball Organization desires to donate labor and materials to upgrade and renovate a portion of Shed Park in the city of Lowell. And whereas the city of Lowell desires to accept the gift of renovations to a portion of Shed Park, now therefore be it voted that the city manager be, and he is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to accept the gift from the Shed Park Baseball and Softball Organization of infield turf for the Cahill Perrin Field, a portion of Shed Park, an updated irrigation system, and all the labor necessary for the installation of the turf and irrigation system pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Be it further voted that the city manager be, and he is authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to execute a hold harmless agreement relative to the donations of such equipment. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept a gift from the Shed Park Baseball and Softball Organization of infield turf for the Cahill Perrin Field, an updated irrigation system, and all the labor necessary for the installation of the turf and irrigation system. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This gift, I'm assuming, is not cheap. It's very expensive to do irrigation, if you know anything about that. And the turf and the irrigation and all the work that's going to take place donated like that, this is what's good about our city. Finances are tough, it's fiscally tough, and here are people stepping up to the plate, so to speak, and they're putting their heart and soul into making this a better place for themselves. Not asking the city, can you do this for us? They're doing it for themselves, benefiting the city. I think this is remarkable, and if we could send them a thank you card, a little note telling them how thrilled we are that they're doing this. Thank you.
Excellent motion, Council Mercier. And I do know that the organization is donating, but there's also some professional landscapers and so forth, contractors. They don't want any recognition. They just want to do it, make it happen. And I talked to Manager Lynch about this a couple weeks ago, and it's going to happen. And that's what's so unique about this city.
That's right.
People just rolling up their sleeves and saying, let's just do it.
That's
and
right.
it's a wonderful gesture on everyone's part. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
Before we move on to the subcommittee reports, I just want, as the mayor and this entire elected body, Manager Lynch and his administration, we just want to wish Councilor Arman Mercia the best. He is hospitalized. He's staying overnight for observations and so forth. But Councilor Mercia, if you're watching, we're all behind you, and best of luck and good health. Subcommittee reports. Okay, Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Tuesday, we had 2 subcommittee meetings, one for the City Auditor Clerk Oversight Subcommittee, and to take up the discussion, or begin the discussion of negotiating a successor agreement with the City Auditor. Essentially, the 3-year contract will expire December of 2009 this year, and by contract, if we don't renegotiate, it automatically gets extended 1 year. The subcommittee, myself, Councilor Rita Mercia, and Councilor Milonazo, decided to set up a further meeting to negotiate, or recommend setting up a further meeting to negotiate. And what we asked the auditor to provide for us is, I believe, last year's goals and objectives to discuss the progress, and to set this year's goals and objectives as well for the subcommittee to evaluate, and for the full body to comment, and then hopefully take a vote on what the successor agreement will be. That was the first meeting, and then we had a personnel subcommittee meeting relative to begin the process on Councilor Elliott's motion to begin the process of the evaluation for the city manager. The city manager has a contract which is different than in the past. More recent years, we've gone to a different format of evaluation. It used to be by ordinance. It's a very lengthy and I guess obsolete form now. The subcommittee was myself, Councilor Martin, and Councilor Jim Milonazo, voted to recommend going to a shorter, a hybrid type of form that will retain the rating system used pursuant to the ordinance, which was recommended by the solicitor, and at the same time shorten the form for those that want to fill it out and evaluate the manager. Again, what we would ask, similar to the auditor, Mr. Manager, is that if you could provide us copies of your, I think you had a PowerPoint presentation from last year of your goals and objectives, and also some what you feel the accomplishments are along those lines for us to evaluate, and also set your goals and objectives for the upcoming year. And at that point, hopefully the council can give feedback, evaluate, and as importantly, to have a give and take is to prioritize, as we see, as your boss, as we see what can outline for you what we think your goals and objectives should be as well, and make sure everybody's on the same page going into the next year. So I'm going to work with the solicitor. We should have a form in the packet for the manager's evaluation. the shorter hybrid form for Friday, for next meeting, for the councilors to take a look at and decide if they feel that that's the proper form
Okay.
they come forward. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one point of, I guess, clarification. I happen to attend both meetings, but I only actually serve on one subcommittee meeting. So to give credit where credit is due, Councilor Bill Martin is actually on both subcommittees. So I apologize if there was any miscommunication there, but it was Councilor Bill Martin.
Any other discussion? Move to accept the report on both subcommittee reports. Accept the reports as a report of progress. So moved by Councilor Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Martin. The reports have been accepted and placed on file. Any other subcommittee reports? All right, moving on with the petitions. We have a conduit location, National Grid, approximately 30 feet of conduit in Clark Road. Public hearing will be October 20th. So moved for approval by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. And we have one claim, a personal injury, two claims. One claim, personal injury, and 2 property damages referred to the Law Department by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Martin. Moving on with the motions. Motion by Councilor Rita Mercer. Request that the City Council support amendment to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 270, Section 22, Paragraph number 6, and prohibit smoking by a theatrical performer upon stage, seconded by Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that we have someone registered to speak.
Richard
Souza.
Souza. Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Richard Souza. I live at 101 Ursula Street in Lowell. Most of you know me from my term with the Pawtuckaville Citizens Council. I was the chair, I was the co-chair, I was the gopher, everything. But here tonight, I'm here for myself. I am a supporter of MRT, and I've been going for quite a number of years now. In this particular session, at one play they were smoking. So at the end I got up and I just kind of let it slide. The next play they were smoking, and I called Mr. Parrish. And I said to him, you know, you shouldn't be smoking there. He says, yeah, but we can do it. Okay, you can do it, but you shouldn't be doing it. So I asked him for a list of plays for this coming year that they would be smoking at. And he gave me 2 plays, it was a couple of days later, that they would be smoking at. And I said to him, I have a serious lung condition and I'm a heart patient. I can't be in that. Can you guarantee that there will be no smoking at any other place? I can't guarantee that. So I did not subscribe. This is, to me, it's a very serious issue. They're up on stage, they're smoking, and it doesn't apparently affect the play at all. And there are other options they could use. They now have electronic cigarettes where it's just smoke. You can see it at the Pheasant Lane Mall right next to Dunkin' Donuts. I stopped and got a demonstration of this. So there are other alternatives they can use. So I respectfully request that you, as the owner of the auditorium, prohibit smoking in that auditorium at all times. I'd like to thank Councilor Murcia for presenting this motion, and I'd like to thank all of you for listening to me the other night. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Councilor Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. According to Mass General Law, Chapter 270, Section 22, Paragraph II, it states that smoking may be permitted in an enclosed indoor space, and according to exception number 6, that exception refers to a theatrical performer upon a stage. Well, such a performance took place recently at MRT many times over, where a performer smoked on stage during the whole performance and made a non-smoker in the audience very ill, as you just heard, Mr. Souza. I'm thinking of the word prop. There are electric cigarettes that could do the job just fine. What about leaving it to the imagination of the audience? There again, I say, use a prop and save a lung. My motion asks my colleagues to support a deletion of the words in number 6, by a theatrical performer upon a stage, and put this phrase in a section that bans smoking by a theatrical performer upon a stage. I did supply my colleagues with a copy of Mass General Law and to my colleagues so that they could review it, and I hope that they could support this to strike that out. And I'd like to have a roll call, because I think that, you know, we're enclosed, and it's not like we're making a movie outside and the smoke is going up in the air. This is going into the audience, and, you know, a play, you're using your imagination. You're imagining these two people in love, or they're fighting, or whatever, and you can imagine that they're smoking a cigarette. I don't know why you have to actually really do that. So I'm asking for support here to strike that out of that particular paragraph and section and exception number 6, to strike that out. If we could have a roll call.
You're requesting a roll call vote?
Yes.
Councilman Milanoso?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support Councilor Rita Mercia's motion. I actually spoke with Mr. Souza as well, and I can understand his concern, and I can understand the fact that it's a public building. But my question through you, Mr. Mayor, to either the city manager or to the solicitor, assuming this amendment or motion gets approved, where does it go from here? I mean, again, this is Mass General Law. Where does it go from here?
Mr. Manager?
If I may, Councilor, we would file a request with our legislative delegation to file a bill that would do exactly what Councilor Mercia's motion has asked us to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions to discussion? If none, roll call.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia. 8 yeas, 1 absent.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to alert my constituent that came forward that although we did support this, he may go to the next performance and there'll still be smoke, and we have steps that we have to take, like the mayor and the city manager just said. So that's okay. Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues. That's important.
And thank you, Mr. Souza, for being at the candidates' night debate. We appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda. Motion by Council Rita Mercia. City Council requests the city manager have National Grid place a street light on pole number 29 in front of 573 Lawrence Street, Centennial Island. Seconded by Council Elliott on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that this motion speaks for itself. I know that it's getting costly, and some communities are actually shutting off lights. This is in front of an elderly project, and not enough light would be a detriment to the safety of my constituents in that particular neighborhood. If we could send National Grid over to at least take a look at it, this is for the seniors. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Council Elliott.
No, I support the motion, but at the same time, could you send them over to my street, because the street lights are not going off? I noticed a couple of days ago, the street lights are on all day, and they're all of them, so it might be a switch somewhere. And I'm wondering if there are a lot of those in the city that we may take a look at.
If I may, generally, we do receive reports from citizens on a regular basis of lights that are out, and we generally follow up with National Grid. In the case of a request for a light, we generally send the police out to take a look and get their recommendation as to the proper placement and whether one is needed. So, but we will do that with that, and we'll send Mass Electric.
I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, I was probably not clear. The lights on my street don't go out. They've been on all day.
Oh, they've been on all the time?
Right.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Well, we only pay a certain amount of those, so we'll still
All right,
do
thanks.
that. Yes.
And while we're on this subject, the lighting on the O'Donnell Bridge, half of it is off, half of it is on, so we pay for that lighting, don't we, Mr. Manager, even if it's off?
That's correct.
Yeah, so if we could address that too. And the Rourke Bridge, thank you. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next motion by Council Rita Mercia. City Council requests the city manager to have the police department regulate traffic at certain bottleneck areas during peak traffic hours, especially the Hunts Falls Rotary. Seconded by Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I know that Councilor Martin did bring up this issue some time ago, and we did get a report in our packet considering what's going to happen. And so if we could just keep on top of it, I think that people, we were at a meeting the other day, and they were frustrated by the lack of people letting them go through and things, and it's a little bit frustrating, but we have something in place that's going to work between the DPW, the city engineer, and the police traffic department, and they will be looking and trying to monitor these bottlenecks. It's just to reiterate that maybe it's good today and we kind of forget tomorrow, but we have to keep on it until the area is, all fixed up, and that'd be good. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this particular motion? Councilor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I do appreciate the report, Mr. Manager. Folks I've talked to, and I've noticed myself, it does seem to be better. It's certainly not ideal, but from the first few days when this, it was complete disaster, it does, whatever's been done, and I think people are seeking alternate routes, and that may be a big part of it, but it's much more manageable than it has been. But Councilor Mercy is right. We have to stay on top of this, especially if it's going to last the many months that are expected.
I attended a meeting at the library maybe a month ago with members of DPD staff and so forth, and I posed that question to Mass Highway at the Huntsville Bridge, and their reply was, there's not much we can do. There's no land there, there's no place to move to the left, to the right, and all the traffic engineers are indicating that it's going to be a bottleneck until they finish it, but I appreciate you bringing the motion forward. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion on the agenda by Councilor Rita Mercier. City Council requests the city manager to have the law department draw the proper vote to have 60-day trial for handicap parking sign corner of Shed Street and 35 West 9th Street.
Thank you.
Seconded by Councilor Kevin Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion speaks for itself in that all the proper verification has been sent to the clerk's office, and so that's what that is about. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city auditor provide the City Council with the fiscal 2009 audited financial statements. Seconded by Councilor Lindsay.
Motion speaks for itself. Are we well underway, or are we close to those audited statements, Madam Auditor?
The auditors are here right now.
Okay.
They came last week. They'll be here on site for at least another 2 weeks. After that point, they'll be doing some backup work back and forth. I anticipate sometime in November, the audited statements, and once I get them, I'll forward them to you.
Okay, great. I guess that you answered my question. Does DOR still require audited statements from us before they certify the?
They do. I believe I forwarded a copy of it, a letter that they sent to us last winter, spring, where they're still requiring it this year. As you recall, that was a requirement that they put in place back in, I think it was fiscal year 2006, or the conclusion of 2006. And they are pleased with the progress. As the letter points out, they're very pleased with the progress that the city's made over the last 3 years, and sort of changing, improving the overall financial management systems and all. But they still want to make sure that we're sticking to that, and so they have asked for at least for the next year that those audited statements be in before they will approve our tax rate.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Councilor Martin.
For the next year, does that mean this December, or does that mean next December too?
I'm assuming it's definitely this December, and I'm very frankly assuming it's going to be next December as well. Okay. But hopefully I'm hoping that will be the end.
Okay.
And we'll certainly make a push to have this be the last.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city manager to work with the Showcase Cinema to have an opening night for Lowell residents when the movie The Fighter is released in 2010, seconded by Council Rita Mercier.
It's just an idea. I can't take credit for it. A number of people in the city have mentioned it. You know, can we have a grand opening? And I thought it made sense. I don't know if you can get in contact with either the movie, the producer, or you know, Showcase Cinemas to see if we could have a grand opening. I know a number of the people in the city tolerated some inconveniences over the last several months, and I thought it would. I thought it'd be an idea to look into it. I don't know if we can also, I mean, another suggestion was, can some of the proceeds be set aside either for the city or for, some of our sports organizations or social service organizations in the city? But something I thought it was worth looking into, and I thought I'd bring the motion forward to the council.
Mr. Manager?
Council, I'll get we'll get you a report on that. I will tell you that there are actually some efforts already underway, either to have it done at the cinema, Showcase Cinema, or at another location like the auditorium. Actually, is something we're exploring. I don't know how successful we'll be, but what we can we'll certainly follow up on your suggestion of the proceeds.
Okay.
As well.
And even along those lines, I know that a couple of folks have mentioned to me maybe we could have a fundraiser for it. Some people would like to, generate some funds again for some organizations in the city. But thank you. I'm glad someone's looking into it.
We are hoping that if we do that, we are hoping that many of the stars will be in appearance. Certainly, it would be great to have Mark Wahlberg there, as well as Christian Bale,
Councilor Mercier.
Rita Maria Mercia. So
Mickey O'Keefe.
You stole my
Mickey
line.
O'Keefe. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion? If none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Motion by Councilor Broderick. City Council requests the city manager have the traffic engineer explore the possibility of replacing the two-way stop with a four-way stop at the intersection of Fisher and Dalton Streets. Seconded by Council Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was a motion that actually was brought to me by candidate Paul Belay, who was talking to a resident over there. They currently have a two-way stop sign, and they'd like to look at the possibility of making it a four-way. There's been 4 accidents that they were aware of. One, I think, was serious, and if it's, I know you have to send out the traffic engineer, but if we could get a report, if it's possible to, if that would be helpful, if we could do that. Thank you.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. I believe I brought this up a few months ago. It might be the same individual that I talked to. And I did get a report back from the traffic engineer, and they stated that there wasn't enough of accidents to justify a four-way stop. And that's the report we got back, but I may be willing to check into it again and find out if there's been any additional accidents since then.
Yeah. Council, you may be right. This one doesn't jog in my mind, but obviously
Right.
it would. If you filed that motion, that's what we'll do. We'll go back and we'll check it again and see if there's a way.
Yeah, it was a
to
few
do
months
that.
ago, and possibly there's been some additional accidents that will justify now a four-way stop sign.
Okay, we'll do that.
Council Rita Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, since we're talking about streets, and we discussed this before the meeting, if I could have a crosswalk at Capel Square, please.
Okay, we'll take a look.
I think I kind of made the motion some time ago, maybe verbally or whatever, but if we could revisit that before winter sets in.
We'll go back and check,
Okay.
see if there was a motion, make sure that that was followed up, but certainly we'll do that anyway.
Thank you very
Council.
much.
And on that same subject, the crosswalk on Beacon Street for the McAuliffe School. I know you're looking for funding, but if there's any way of getting that installed before the harsh weather, so.
I think the issue that we have there, Mr. Mayor, is more the handicap access
Yes.
issues that we have. That,
Right.
And we have to be very cautious on that, but we are exploring a number of other possibilities there as well.
Thank you. Could you do me a favor? Just send a little note, a letter to the McAuliffe School principal, let her know that we're working on that. I appreciate it. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Broderick. City Council requests the city manager to have the Division of Planning and Development report on the ideas and suggestions made at the Lowell Plant Breakfast on October 2nd, seconded by Councilor Milonazo on the motion. The good motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was the 30th anniversary breakfast last Friday, and I know a number of my colleagues were there. Jeff Speck was the the guest speaker, and he had a number of great ideas, some of which would obviously cost considerable funds, but some I think may be able to be implemented with less expenditure of money and probably make somewhat of an impact. So basically, I know that the Lowell Plan is committed to working and continuing that public-private partnership. So if we could, if you could, Mr. Manager, look into some of these suggestions and work with the Lowell Plan to come forward, bring this forward to see what we can do and maybe come up with some kind of plan and see what we can implement. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We will obviously, depending upon the vote of the council, but it is something, I think it's a good motion that we follow up. There were a lot of good ideas that came out of that are worthy of consideration, and hopefully we'll be able to get that done in short order and get that report back to the council within the next few weeks.
I just want to just touch on that briefly. It's a great motion you brought forward. I've attended many Lowell Plan breakfasts, but this speaker was so unique. This speaker didn't tell us what we wanted to hear. He told us what we should hear. And that was the big difference. And one of the issues he brought up was the one-way streets. And you come into the city, and if you're not familiar with the city, you might end up in Centerville when you really want to go to the auditorium. And that's one of the issues he brought forward, one-way streets, and leave the Lowell High School down where it is, and it's a great asset to the city. But he brought out a lot of great points, so it was a great motion. Any other discussion on it? If none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The last motion of the evening, Council Milonazo, request manager contact business owners at 145 East Merrimack Street regarding parking issues. Seconded by Council Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was contacted by the business owner at 145 East Merrimack Street. It's actually a florist shop, and they've been having issues with parking out in front of their store. And during the conversation, she also indicated to me, again, this is the area across the street from the Immaculate Conception Church. There's also the restaurant there, and currently the restaurant is actually holding on to close to $200 worth of parking fines that he has accumulated either from his customers and or his employees. So if we could have the traffic engineer or someone from the parking department meet with the business owners, again, as you know, small businesses along East Merrimack Street, to try to come up with a solution to what's going on there. So that's the intent of the motion.
Council Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. Similar situation that I was at Elliott's today having a couple of hot dogs there, and Mr. Garside came up to me. I said, how's business going? He said, things are great, but I'm having some problems with parking with the meter maids from 12 to 2. They're coming around and really ticketing his customers that are going to have a hot dog or something to eat. And I just wonder if we can get Chuck Carney to maybe meet with Mr. Garside, see if we can come up with some type of solution. He is looking for some more off-street parking. He doesn't have enough. I mean, I think we're all glad that Elliott's did reopen, but see if we can meet with Mr. Garside and come up with some type of solution. Okay. Do I need to make that in a more form of a motion, or?
You're requesting the manager to meet,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Want to suspend the rules?
seconded by Council Elliott.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Let's get Council Milonazo's motion out of the way first. Any other discussion on Council Milonazo? All in favor of Council Milonazo's motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Council Kazanjian has brought forward a motion for the manager to bring forward a discussion with Mr. Garside, Elliott's hot dog stand, to see if we can alleviate some parking issues.
Correct, right.
All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries as well. Council Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a suspension of the rules to bring in a motion that would be to adopt the same policy, a 20% prescription discount card like the mayor of Somerville has in his city, if there's no objection to bringing that in.
Let's get the suspension in first. Move for the suspension by Council Kevin Broderick, second by Council Elliott. All in favor of suspension of the rules signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The suspensions are in order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sometimes what's good in other communities should be duplicated in ours. We're not always first to have a good idea, but when another community has a good idea, I think it's well to try to duplicate that, because imitation is the best form of flattery. Having said that, I know that the mayor of Somerville, in conjunction with CVS and Rite Aid, have a 20% off prescription card for all the residents of Somerville, not the senior citizens alone, but all the residents. This went into effect October 1st, just the other day. A month prior, or a little longer than that, they went off the census list to verify people's addresses to ensure that the people that were applying for this 20% discount prescription card were actual residents of the city of Somerville. I would like to make a similar motion that we adopt the same policy by which we contact the mayor of Somerville and ask him how he went about this to allow residents to take part in this favorable opportunity. It's my understanding that CVS jumped on board right away to be a part of that. Then soon after came Rite Aid. It's also not just about our seniors, but it's about all Lowell residents if we adopt this. And who wouldn't want to receive a 20% discount? And any pharmacy that offered this unique opportunity would pick up sales on the other end as people shopped throughout the store while waiting for their prescriptions to be filled. I feel it's another win-win situation. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I say, let's try it. And the motion is to adopt the same policy, a 20% prescription discount card like the mayor of Somerville has already in place for the people, not just seniors, but everyone. I think that's wonderful. If we could, I would even help you if we could talk to pharmacies to see if they could offer that. We just had a beautiful grand opening down at Target. There's a pharmacy there. If we could talk to the people that are responsible, wouldn't you offer Lowellians and go by the census when they apply? This would be good for them. I think every little bit helps, and 20%, it's a wonderful opportunity.
Be a home run. Mr. Manager?
Counselor, I'm just vaguely aware of that program that was put in place. I just saw something on that the other day. What I do know about it is very limited at this point. I think it's certainly a great program. My understanding is that that's tied in with a program of the National League of Cities. It's not just something that Somerville did on its own. It's tied in with a national effort that certain communities are participating in around the country. We need to get more information on that. I know Mayor Curtatone fairly well, and I can certainly reach out to him and discuss that program. And certainly, I thought the same thing when I saw it. There would be a great program for the city of Lowell.
I think so too. Thank you. I think we're a league of our own. I think we're a city league.
Well, we
should
certainly
be
are.
a part of that league, don't you think?
That's right.
Thank you.
Wasn't, Mr. Manager, what's his name, Joe Santone?
Curtatone.
Wasn't he the president of the Mayor's Association in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
The same year that.
Well-respected elected official. So, Mr. Manager, you're going to contact him and find out what we can, okay.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Council Martin?
Mayor Curtatone, when I was mayor, was the president of the Mayor's Association. He worked well with us on a number of initiatives. You know, he brought the Mayor's Association meeting to Lowell during that time. So he's certainly well aware of the things that we do here and has worked cooperatively with us on many issues in the past, and I'm sure he would on this too.
And as you indicated, Councilor Mercia, every resident could benefit.
That's right.
this.
And if we could take a roll call, please.
Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Should we amend the motion to get a report as opposed to adopt if we need to get more information? And just a point of clarification. If we need to join some type of league or...
Motion to adopt and be furnished with a report. You want that included in the motion?
How about a little bit of both? Get a report and adopt it at the same time.
I don't know what comes with the 20% discount. I mean, I don't know if that city has to buy into something, but just as a point of clarification, if we're going to be looking for information, But it sounds like a good idea, I just don't know.
If I may, I think, Councilor, I have to say that that's sort of how I understood. It isn't simply an adoption of the city council. There's a whole process that will have to be followed. And I think it's important that we get that information from the League of Cities and from the city of Somerville, and bring that back and the steps that we need to do to follow it. I'm sure it isn't just a single vote here. It will require probably a contract with the National League of Cities, and that has to obviously be vetted for its legal ramifications as well.
Right, that's fine.
So we're going to request the information. From that, we can move forward.
That's right.
Right.
Thank
Is
you.
that okay? All in favor of the motion as amended,
All right.
signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. And I would like a suspension of the rules very briefly to bring in a issue about the sunken boat in the Merrimack River. So move for approval by Council Rita Mercia for suspension of rules, seconded by Council Kazanjian. All in favor of the suspension, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The suspensions are in order. I read the Low Sun this morning, and it seems as though that one of the barges or boats that NL uses is sunken at the bottom of the river. And before I shouldn't say before they sunk, before the boat sank, they removed the motor and et cetera. And Mr. Manager, I would like a full report is if the boat, what are they gonna do with the boat? It has to get out of there, it can't stay there. It's amongst all the debris, and, you know, if that happened, shame on them, but I'd just like a report on that. Council Elliott?
That's a very timely motion, Mr. Manager. We actually set up a flood subcommittee for October 23rd, I think was the date. Is that right, Mr. Clerk? It was two Tuesdays away.
I believe it's the
so-
20th.
The 20th, so that's, we'll bring it up at that time. Hopefully we'll have the report, because that's exactly what we're going to have the meeting on, that trash. Excuse me.
So any discussion if there's not, Council Cassandra?
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have any control as far as removing that boat, making Anel remove that boat? I mean,
Well,
their control of the waterways. I mean, we've had some issues with them.
I think what their plan is, they're gonna bring in a crane to clean the debris.
Okay, yeah.
And then remove the boat at the same
Okay,
time.
all right,
But to
okay.
sink the boat, you know, it just, no. Mr. Manager?
Just in response to Councilor Kazanjian, I think this is an issue I know that you've brought up in the past, and I think the way that would have to come out is as described in our report. It would have to come out with a crane. They'd have to put it in a dumpster. There's all of the systems we've put in place. I actually saw the boat on Saturday during the Heart Walk, and it didn't look like a barge so much as just a small rowboat. And but you know, I'm not sure who the owner of the rowboat was, whether it was theirs. That wasn't my understanding, but we will follow up certainly and get a report on that.
Thank you. I didn't see that boat, and I was on the Hot Walk.
I was looking to the right.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying that. Yes, Councilman?
Mr. Mayor, if you will allow me 1 minute to talk about a giant garage sale that's going to be Saturday.
Can I finish this motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All in
Sure.
favor of the motion,
Okay.
signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Yard sale.
Okay, thank you very much. This is the second annual garage sale at the Early Garage on Saturday, October 10th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which will be set up on Marston and Jackson Streets at the Early Garage. I hope it doesn't rain, but it doesn't look good, but I hope that it's good weather. And also, people can have space available for $1 a linear foot, and you can register, and Karen Bell is in charge of this. She's the head of JAMBRA, and her number is 978-441-1166, or you could download the registration at jambra.org. And also, we're going to have to get rid of trash. You could get rid of your trash absolutely that no one will take anymore. CRT Recycling Inc. will take all your waste and more. And they'll take old TVs, computers, printers, microwaves, white goods, hot water tanks, air conditioners. Just drop it off at the garage. There'll be a site available over there. And all the proceeds will go to the Jam District Neighborhood Improvement Project. So there again, they want to improve the neighborhood, and this is how they're going to do it, through this fundraiser, because what I say is someone's junk is someone else's treasure. So I want you to take part in that and clean out your attic and your garage and basements and things like that. Make some money, someone else could use it, and it's going to a good cause, and get rid of your trash at the same time. It's like a yearly cleanup, so, and I'm sure it'll be quite reasonable for you to do that. So we'll be cleaning the city and recycling with our little heart's content over there. So that'll be a good thing, Saturday, 10 to 3. Thank you.
Okay, before we adjourn, Superintendent of Police Ken LaValle, oh, I'm sorry, Council.
I do have one other thing, so if you want to do that first, if I could, if you want to do that first, and then I have one other.
Go ahead.
Okay. I had received an invitation in my packet, again, I don't know if my colleagues did as well, but from Reverend Dr. Peter Lovett, pastor of Christ Church United in Lowell. And they're working on a project called All Souls House to convert part of their administrative building to 5 two-bedroom apartments, again, in an effort to end homelessness in the city. And they're planning 2 meetings, one working with the Belvedere Neighborhood Association on Wednesday, October 14th, and then they're having another meeting on Tuesday, October 27th. I know it's a council night, but it doesn't start until 7:30. According to the invitation, they do have support from Father Sinella from the Immaculate, Michael Gooley from Saints Medical Center, and so forth. So again, just to make sure that we're all aware that this is now going on, there'll be 2 meetings, the 14th at the Belvedere Neighborhood Association, and then on the 27th at the church itself. So again, they're also planning to work closely with the Planning and Development Office, Adam Backey, and his staff as well. So again, if you hadn't received it, I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware.
Okay. Thank you. Superintendent of Police Ken LaValle will be conducting an open house at the new Emergency Operating Center, the 911 Center, on November 10th, 2009, 5:30 p.m. Public's invited to attend. The facility is absolutely beautiful, and so much room, and the dispatchers and everyone who works in that facility will feel at ease. And it's certainly a huge improvement from the old dispatching center. And also, Manager Lynch, Council Kazanjian, Council Rita Mercier, I know everyone can't make these openings, but we attended the opening of the new Target store. And you cannot believe the size of this facility. 150,000 square feet. That's 3.5 acres of shopping. Right now, there's 160 employees employed at Target, and they expect to have 225 employed before the Christmas season. They have invested $40 million buying the property, demolishing the old store, Hannaford, and then building their state-of-the-art shopping facility. $40 million investment. And the manager of the Target store, Dom Goddard, the employees have him on a pedestal and they love him. And that store is going to do great, so I invite everyone who is watching this council meeting to attend the Target store. They have it's absolutely beautiful, and I understand they're going to be selling food and produce at that store. So you can't believe how big the store is. It's enormous. And with that said, I just want to clarify one other thing on the out-of-state travel. There were 4 requests, but there's 7 employees that are going out of state. That's why I brought 7 employees who are going out of state. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And I'm Mercier, you take care of yourself. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Kevin Broderick, seconded by Councilor Jim Milanazzo. Thank you.
Another one.